What was your school's incident? Student was sleeping with a teacher. Parents sent student to another school. As soon as student turned 18, transferred back to our school. Student and teacher eventually married and have kids. This was in the early 90s, and I think they are still together. A few kids stole a propane tank and locked themselves in a garden shed to sniff the gas. Then one of them decided to light a cigarette, blowing the shed to smithereens. Fortunately nobody died, but some of them had to be hospitalized for a long time. Super weird story, but some random Facebook account popped up, threatening to shoot up the school if this one girl didn't fess up for something she had done. No one knew who it was, and the girl allegedly had no idea what she was supposed to fess up about. The threats continued, and the Facebook account started posting naughty videos/pictures she had taken, censoring the nudity, but giving people an idea that he had intimate contact with the girl. The school ended up going on Christmas break like 3 days early, while the school district tried to figure how to move forward. There was a town hall meeting that a parent brought a gun to, which created quite a stir. Feds kept looking into it. Arrests were made, but each student was released on lack of evidence. The Facebook account progressed to basically taunting authorities that couldn't catch him. I think the height of it, my wife and I were at Red Robin one night, and the account posted that it heard the girl was at the mall across the street, and that a lot of people were about to die. From Red Robin, we watched the authorities converge onto the mall. The girl wasn't there, and neither was a guy with weapons of any sort. The Facebook account ceased activity at a certain point after an admission that he was some guy in Minnesota or something that just picked a random school, girl, and town to duck with. A few months ago, an arrest was finally made, and it was some dude in California. But man, it took forever for them to crack that case. Kid brought a gun to school in middle school. School went into lockdown while the kid was going through the halls banging on doors. Planned on shooting people, but brought the wrong bullets for his gun. Ran outside and got tackled by police. Now he works at McDonald's and does tattoos from a kid. Edit, kid was adopted from Russia. His actual plan was to go to Russia after school to kill his real parents. Only someone bullied him during the day, causing him to grab the gun from his locker and start wreaking havoc. Someone spray painted school is buns on the clock tower. Teacher in the middle of class gets a call. His whole family, wife, 2 daughters, and dog, all killed in a freak car accident. He returned a year later to teach, but he was never the same. You could see it in his eyes. Heartbreaking. Went back to the school years later, and he was still there. Same great guy. Anyway, hope you're doing well, teacher man. This kid my junior year poked the head of his dick out of his pants during the football pictures. No one noticed till the yearbooks came out, and he was almost charged as a sex offender. Made national news. School trip to Russia in the early 90s. The maths teacher beat up a taxi driver. All the kids ran riot. They stayed in a hotel that had one of the floors sealed off, which turned out to be a knocking shop. One of the students fell in love with a hooker, went mad and had to be drugged by a doctor to get him to the airport when they were leaving. Our school never did international trips again. When I was in primary school, for you know English that's 3 to 11 years old, there was an older kid, I say older, but he was just 11. Anyway, he arranged a great escape. The school playground linked to the teacher's car park through a big ass field we wasn't allowed on. From the car park you could climb a gate to get out. So, on the day of break time the kid sounded a whistle, no joking, like a war horn, and about 300 children sprinted across this field to freedom. Some kids just running for the hell of it, some following out noble leader like me. Teachers sprinted out, grabbing us and forming lines to stop us. About a dozen of us got through and made it to the car park, but a few teachers were there having cigarettes, so they tried stopping us. I was caught meters from the gate and saw all but one child hop it. The older guy. He was chased by the history teacher, but got back home and spent the rest of the day playing video games. He's in jail for murder now. All of the bathrooms got closed in 7th grade because a kid smeared poop on the stall of one bathroom. Art teacher had a hidden camera in the girls' bathroom, and one of them found it. When the cops came he fled on foot, but they caught him. Someone drew a swastika in sheet on the wall of a bathroom. He was nicknamed Cheatler. It was a fun year. Some of these stories are shocking and unreal. Meanwhile, the only interesting thing to ever happen at my old school is that once a dog got inside and it was running up and down the corridors and everyone was petting it. I attended just a pretty small town school in rural Yorkshire, UK. A kid took a bunch of magic mushrooms and ran around the halls at lunch in his undies. A horde of campus security and coaches were chasing him until they cornered him on the bed of someone's truck. They were at a standoff and the kid was yelling, "Come any closer," and the briefs come off. A coach managed to sneak behind the kid from another parked truck and tackled him off. For several months running, some kid would piss on the radiators a couple times a week. It was horrid. Some girl from down under attended my high school for a bit, US. She was failing an economics class, so she faked naughty texts between her and the teacher to get him in trouble, and the cops came to escort him out in the middle of class. Once it was found out she was faking, she got kicked out and was sent back to Australia to live family there. Crazy Beach tried to ruin a man's life cause she couldn't figure out basic economics. Some guy shoved a glue stick up his ass and punctured something. The art teacher delivered a student's baby in the library one day. Girl didn't even know she was pregnant. Over Christmas break of my sophomore year in high school, our principal was pulled with over twice the legal back. Instead of being immediately taken to jail as he should have been, he was escorted home. Over the next week he was on almost every local news station and even got a minute or two segment on CNN. Needless to say, the faculty didn't think it was a laughing matter, but the students found it hilarious and spent the remaining weeks of break having t-shirts made saying things like "I partied with Dr. Siverson and lived good times." Our football coach got suspended for putting his dick in a hot dog bun, so that was pretty cool. High school, one of the teachers was arrested for either having sex with a kid or taking dirty pictures of the kid. Can't remember which. Big deal though, since it was a super religious school. Not my school's, but it's like a town over. Last year on an out-of-town football trip, 4-5 of their football players were drinking lean and vodka and had a bag of Funines. One of them decided it would be funny to A, eat them off of each other's dicks, and B, send a video to the vice principal. Needless to say they got suspended, but Funines are now banned from that school for some reason. There was a teacher who had left my school and went to work at another school a year after I was in their class. The teacher performed a science experiment that went horribly wrong without the proper safety procedures and ended up setting a student on fire. There was a kid in my middle school with anger issues that no one knew had anger issues. He went on a rampage and smashed all of our display cases with his bare hands. Next day his fists were bandaged and he had to hold them over his head. He walked up to me and said, "Sorry dude, I just lost control." Kids stole a bust of the guy who donated the new gym to our school. They would take pictures of him around the world with obviously fake scenic backgrounds from Hawaii and Mount Rushmore, and would all say "wish you were here," but then the school threatened to involve the FBI over the morning announcements and the kids returned the bust the next day in the principal's parking spot. We had multiple. One kid, year 10th, set fire to the boys' toilets because they stopped serving fish and chips on a Friday in the canteen. Another kid, year 9, set up camp on top of one of the school buildings and threatened to jump one-story building. 2 people in my year 12, got caught ducking in the staff toilet. The head of school waited outside the room till they finished. A group of year 9 set up a fight club disguised as a math study group. My male IT teacher was suspended for having a sexual relationship with a 14-year-old boy from another school. 4 kids stole a van, lined it up with the main entrance, and put a brick on the accelerator. The ensuing fire kept us out of school for a few days. They were caught after tweeting about doing it. Ike. An English teacher had a year-plus-long affair with an 11th grade girl. He was transferred to a junior high while we were in grade 12, and their relationship continued. They would prance around the halls after hours at the junior high, which was caught on camera, and how he was busted. Not so smart. Apparently, she was living in an apartment at the time due to rough home life, and her boyfriend would come by, they'd have sex, he'd leave, then the teacher would come over with groceries for her, they'd have sex, and the cycle continued for months, unbeknownst to the BF. He was arrested the year after high school. Of course his home life with his wife and 2 kids was ruined. I learned all of this about 4 years after high school, when I ran into the former BF at a bar and he filled me in about everything. Pretty crazy. My school's music teacher gambled away thousands of dollars that the students had raised to help them attend competitions. Now they can't have nice things.